the top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. emphasizes that the Philippine government is done communicating with the International Criminal Court in connection with its investigation into the country's drug war. Vietnam assures the Philippines that it will not cut its rice exports in the next 5 years. The Philippine Weather Bureau PAGASA said that tropical depression Eggai may intensify into a super typhoon. And find out the consequences of Russia conducting airstrikes on Ukrainian ports in the Black Sea for 3 consecutive nights over the grain deal conflict. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, the 21st of July, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will fly to Malaysia on July 25, just a day after his second State of the Nation address or SONA. Nel Maribohok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will fly to Malaysia next week for a state visit, where talks on economic cooperation and the newly enacted Maharlika Investment Fund or MIF law may be discussed. According to Foreign Affairs spokesperson Maria Teresita Daza, the president will push for stronger ties between Manila and Kuala Lumpur during his state visit on July 25 to July 27.
He will pursue bilateral cooperation in priority areas that are actually in support of the economic agenda of the country, and that will include agriculture, food security, tourism, digital economy, tourism, and will also focus on people-to-people exchanges.
President Marcos is expected to have a royal audience with Malaysian King Al-Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah and a bilateral meeting with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to identify new areas of synergy and strengthen people-to-people exchanges between the two countries. DFA said PBBM will meet with Filipino and Malaysian business leaders to explore possible bilateral trade and investments and economic opportunities.
We're also expecting that with the meeting with key Malaysian businessmen and business leaders, this would hopefully generate investment pledges from Malaysian companies. As you all know, Malaysia is a top 10 trading partner of the Philippines and the top 22nd source of approved investments in the Philippines in 2022.
PBBM's delegation will be composed of Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno, cabinet members and officials of his economic team. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The House of Representatives announced that the State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will push through despite the expected weather brought by the tropical depression Eggai. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Tropical depression Eggai may develop into super typhoon by Monday, July 24, according to the forecast of Philippine Weather Bureau PAGASA. But despite the expected bad weather, House of Representatives Secretary General Reginald Velasco said that the second State of the Nation address or SONA of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Monday will push through.
Wala kaming gagawin kung hindi ituloy yan kahit na bumagyo pa siya or any contingency nakahanda ang Congress. Meron kaming balita ang good news na lumihis sa Luzon yung bagyo. Mukhang hindi ganun kalakas yung impact sa Metro Manila. Ang Batasan Complex naman yan, typhoon proof yan So kahit anong bagyo kaya naman yan. So wala namang additional preparations yan except pag nagbaha-baha doon sa papunta sa Batasan na complex. Pero yung within the vicinity, wala kaming nakikitang problema kahit umulan or bumagyo.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives announced that classical singer Lara Maige is set to be the performer for the national anthem during PBBM SONA. Maige is a Filipino classically well-trained soprano and songwriter who won the 2017 Aliw Awards for Best Classical Performer and the 2018 Aliw Awards for Best Female Crossover Performer.
Nasabi sa amin ng Office of the President, si Miss Lara Maige, and we watch her sa YouTube. Parang Broadway star siya eh. Saka magaling siya kasi classical music ang alam niya, hindi lang ordinary Filipino songs, but classical, ibig sabihin pwedeng mag-soprano tsaka mataas ang boses niya. So nagagala kami na yun yung pinili ng Office of the President. I think she will be a hit dito sa SONA.
Janice and Henry, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In other news, the Philippine government is done communicating with the International Criminal Court, or ICC, in connection with its investigation into the country's drug war. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. once again said that the government will not cooperate with the ICC. He also repeated the Philippine government's arguments that the ICC retains no jurisdiction and has no right to resume its probe.
Basta tapos na lahat ng ating pag-uusap sa ICC at kagaya ng sinasabi namin mula sa simula, we will not cooperate with them in any way, shape, or form. So we continue to defend the sovereignty of the Philippines and continue to question the jurisdiction of the ICC and their investigations here in the Philippines.
The ICC on Tuesday, July 18, rejected the appeal of the Philippine government to pause the investigation into the alleged crimes against humanity committed during the war on drugs of the previous administration. This green-lighted its prosecutors to start issuing warrants of arrest in the Philippines. The Philippine government will strictly monitor the possible entry of the International Criminal Court representatives in the country to conduct an investigation. Dante Amento tells us what.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, assures they will not simply allow the International Criminal Court, or ICC, to come over to the Philippines to conduct an investigation. Justice Secretary Crispin Boying Rimulya said the authorities will strictly monitor the ICC. The Philippine government will need to protect its sovereign right.
Alamin pa natin ang mga kung sino-sino yung mga taong maaaring pumunta rito upang ipatupad ang kailang nais na ang kanilang madilim na balak sa ating bansa. Madilim sapagkat ito'y panghihimasok sa ating sa isang malayang republika.
But if the ICC will talk through the Department of Foreign Affairs to ask for clearance to enter the country, Rimulya explained the DOJ will still determine first what is the purpose.
Principle of comity pa rin among nations. Ayaw naman natin na supladuhan at maging masama sa ibang bansa na mahusay makipag-usap. Ngunit ang panghihimasok ay hindi katanggap-tanggap.
Meanwhile, Rimulya added it is not true that there will be constitutional crisis to occur after the government's declaration of complete disengagement with the ICC. The Supreme Court will allegedly understand the Philippines' position over the issue.
Hindi naman, hindi. Walang problema. Ang Korte Suprema ay malinaw ang kanyang pag-iisip at ang kanyang mga salita tungkol sa bagay na ito. At kung ito ay ating lilinawin sa kanila, marahil ay makikita rin nila na walang pinanggagalingang mabuti yung ganito mga salitang sinasabi sapagkat malinaw na ang kanilang demandang pinanghahawakan ngayon ay iginawad lamang nila noong tapos na at tayo naka-atras na sa ICC.
In a statement, the Akbayan Group warned of a constitutional crisis if the government will not cooperate with the ICC. They argued the Supreme Court ruled that the Philippines is still obliged to cooperate after the withdrawal by the previous administration from the Rome Statute that formed the ICC. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Tropical depression Eggai is continuously gaining strength. As of 4 p.m. today, it was located at 835 kilometers east of southeastern Luzon, packing maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 7 kilometers per hour. It is moving in a west-northwest direction at 20 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow or on Sunday, wind signals may be raised in other areas of Luzon. The Philippine Weather Bureau Pag-asa said that tropical depression Eggai may intensify into a super typhoon by Monday or even Tuesday. The cyclone is also expected to enhance the southwest monsoon and may affect Mimaropa and other parts of southern Luzon.
And for the news abroad, Ukraine warns to target all ships sailing from Russian-occupied ports after Moscow declared a naval blockade and attacked on Ukraine ports. Ruth Bahe tells us why, live. Yes, Ruth, good evening.
Yes, Kathy, good evening. For 3 consecutive nights, Russia has conducted airstrikes on Ukrainian ports in the Black Sea and threatened ships heading toward Ukraine. The attack killed 2 people and injured at least 19 people more, and according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, it destroyed agricultural infrastructures and 60,000 tons of grain.
Які були атаковані. Сьогодні зберігалося близько 1 мільйона тонн продовольства. Саме той обсяг, який вже давно мав би бути доставлений в країни-споживачі в Африці, в Азії. В портовому терміналі, який постраждав цієї ночі, найбільше від російського терору зберігалось 60 тисяч тонн агропродукції, що призначалось для відправки в Китай.
Kyiv's defense ministry declared from midnight on Thursday that any ships traveling to Russian-occupied ports will be considered as transporting military cargo with all associated risks. This reciprocates the threat from Moscow on Wednesday. Tensions escalated in the Black Sea as Russia withdrew from UN-brokered agreement on Monday that allowed grain exports from Ukrainian ports to prevent a rise in global food prices and famine in poor countries. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Ruth Bahe, for that live report. In a stark warning about the escalating climate crisis, Gavin Schmidt, the Goddard Institute for Space Studies Director of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, declared that July is likely to become Earth's hottest month in centuries, possibly even millennia, amidst a relentless heat wave scorching the United States southern region. Climate experts, along with NASA leaders, met at the agency's Washington headquarters to address the worsening climate crisis at the summer of 2023, has witnessed deadly floods in New England, choking smoke from Canadian wildfires in the U.S. cities, and heat advisories impacting tens of millions in the southern and western U.S. Scientists at the meeting also highlighted the link between the changes and greenhouse gas emissions, impacting both people and ecosystem worldwide. Furthermore, experts predict 2024 to be even hotter as the El Niño weather pattern is expected to peak at the end of the year, reminiscent of the 2014 to 2016 El Niño that led to successive global temperature records, with 2026 currently holding the title Earth's hottest year. Meanwhile, NASA showcased various climate-focused initiatives to aid governments in mitigating and preparing for the crisis, and the newly launched Earth Information Center offers real-time access to climate data for NASA's 25 satellites. After India's successful spacecraft launch for its historic moon mission last Friday, Australian authorities call attention to rocket debris found in a remote beach. Charisse Longbowen will give us the details live. Good evening, Charisse.
Good evening, Kathy. The Australian Space Agency is collaborating with other international authorities to determine the origin of mystery giant metal cylinder that washed up on a beach at Greenhead. The discovery of the object has prompted an investigation to confirm if it is indeed space debris from a foreign rocket, which social media users have linked with India's successful launch of its Chandrayaan-3 last Friday. According to Andrea Boyd, an engineer at the European Space Agency or ESA, fellow scientists believe that based on its size and shape, the item is most likely a component of an upper stage engine from an Indian LVM-3 rocket belonging to the Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO. Meanwhile, Indian officials have not confirmed or denied anything about the 2.5-meter canister, while the ISRO is not yet willing to claim ownership of the artifact, as stated by ISRO head Sridhara Panikkar Sumanath. The United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs mandates that the entity that launched the object into space is responsible for its disposal and any activity until the end of its life cycle. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Cherise Limbowen, reporting live from Japan. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Thank you, Kathy. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The change of command ceremony for the new Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Romeo Brawner Jr., was held this afternoon. The President instructed him to change the style of military operations to deliver government services to remote and distant areas. Meanwhile, the new AFP Chief also supports the return of the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC. Alan Manansala will tell us why.
General Romeo Brawner Jr. has been appointed as the new Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP. He belongs to the Makatao class of 1989 of the Philippine Army Academy. In 2011, he represented the Philippines in the United States International Visitor Leadership Program or IBLP. Apart from serving as a battalion commander, he also held the position of Chief of the Public Affairs Office of the Philippine Army and became the spokesperson of AFP. He was also the commander of the Civil Military Operations Regiment and brigade commander of the 103rd Infantry Brigade after the Marawi siege in 2017. As the newly installed Chief of Staff of the AFP, he has reportedly laid out his program, including the implementation of the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC.
Dito sa ating bansa, we want to prepare our citizens. And one way of preparing our citizens for any eventuality, hindi naman kinakailangan gera lang eh. We are faced every year with, on the average, 20 typhoons. And then we are also preparing for several earthquakes. The big one dito sa Metro Manila. So parte ng pag-train natin sa youth natin is not just for them to become combatants, but to become good citizens, ready to face any challenge or any threat that comes our way, whether it is man-made or natural.
However, before it can be implemented, it needs to await the passage of the ROTC bill, where the Department of Education will serve as the lead agency if approved.
Ayaw na nating maulit yung nangyari nung nakaraang programa ng ROTC.
The President has instructed the military to change their approach to internal security operations to be able to provide government services even in remote areas.
I urge you to recalibrate our internal security operations so that we can deliver public services in geographically isolated and disadvantaged communities. I know that your supervision will give rise to a safer and more secure nation.
General Brawner is the 6th Chief of Staff of the AFP and the 3rd during administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Alan Manansala, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Vietnam assures it will continue to supply rice to the Philippines in the next few years amid its plans to decrease its rice exports in the future. Harleen Delgado details why.
Amid the looming effects of the El Nino phenomenon in the country beginning this year, Vietnam assures the Philippines that it will not cut its rice exports in the next 5 years. This as Vietnam, the Philippines' top supplier of rice, plans to reduce its rice exports by 2030. In the first half of the year, the Philippines accounted for 40% of Vietnam's rice exports, equivalent to 1.6 million metric tons.
We are very happy that every year we export rice to the Philippines, about 2 million tons of rice for the medium class of people.
Vietnam also assures they will consult with their Ministry of Agriculture on how to help the Philippines to mitigate the effects of El Nino phenomenon in rice production.
In short term, in 5 years, we will not cut the output of rice, but for long term, we will shift to the production of high quality rice. But in any circumstances, we always see the Philippines as an important market and a traditional partners of Vietnam.
In response, the Bureau of Plant Industry of the Department of Agriculture says it will strive for the Philippines to achieve rice self-sufficiency.
Long term pa naman, but for us, of course, ang direction natin is, of course, to increase our sufficiency. And we're doing this with the Masagana program, with our collaboration with the private sector. Alam naman natin, we cannot produce all, but we can complement.
Earlier today, the Vietnam Embassy in the Philippines held an event showcasing Vietnamese products and connecting businesses from both countries. This as the two countries explore ways to bolster trade ties, including granting of import permits for agricultural products such as fruits. Vietnamese ambassador to the Philippines, Wang Huy Chung, says trade investments between Vietnam and the Philippines reached $7.8 billion in 2022. Asked on the maritime disputes in the South China Sea, the Vietnamese envoy believes Vietnam and the Philippines should exercise maritime cooperation in accordance with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. Vietnam is a claimant country in the South China Sea.
Between Vietnam and the Philippines, we have the common interests in the South China Sea. So we have a cooperation in maritime issue to ensure that the South China Sea is the place for free navigation and overflying. We shall cooperate in the framework in the frame of the UN clause.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, announced that they aim to open their motorcycle riding academy by the end of August. According to MMDA Acting Chairman Attorney Don Artes, there will be an initial 100 enrollees to be accommodated on its opening. The agency will announce once the registration process is open to interested applicants. Meanwhile, earlier today, the MMDA received 21 units of new motorcycles donated by Honda Philippines. These motorcycles will be used for the practical training courses at the Motorcycle Riding Academy. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, encourages consumers who purchase online unregistered products such as medicine, toys, and medical supplies to verify their official website first to ensure consumer health and safety. According to FDA Director General Samuel Zacate, they have already consulted with the National Bureau of Investigation and the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group to identify unregistered sellers and provide appropriate sanctions. The FDA advises new small, medium, and micro enterprises to register their products. Meanwhile, they are also working with local government units and state universities to utilize their laboratories for product accreditation and proper product packaging of the new micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs.
Pinapanawagan ko po sa ating mga consumers na if they see a product that is being regulated by the FDA sa online platforms, I will not mention those online platforms, is i-verify naman nila sa verification portal kung ito po ay rehistrado, kasi ito yung kasiguraduhan nila para masabi na itong produkto na ito ay nagdaan sa proseso at nagarantiya ang kanilang mga safety and efficacy.
A group of teachers is planning to call for a salary increase in the educational sector during President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s second State of the Nation address or SONA on Monday. Their demands include a salary of 50,000 pesos for entry-level teachers and 33,000 pesos for those in salary grade 1, which also includes non-teaching personnel. The Teachers Group Alliance of Concerned Teachers, or ACT, points out that many educators are choosing to work abroad or seek other jobs due to the inadequacy of teaching salaries and the burden of overwhelming workload. ACT emphasizes that the shortage of teachers has a significant impact on the quality of education in the country. The school employees expressed their gratitude and hope if the government grants the salary demands.
Ang manifestation po nito ay yung pag-i-exist ng mga large-size classes. Yan po yung pinaka-manifestation nito. Pangalawa po na manifestation nito yung shifting ng classes.
Katulong yan. Malaking tulong. Madagdagan ang sahod namin o magsasaka o mga teacher.
Malaking tulong po yan sa mga teachers na makakapasok sa isang public school o under the government.
Memorandum of Understanding was signed by the Department of Information and Communications Technology and the Private Sector Advisory Council. This aims for better internet quality in indoor places. Bernadette Tinoy explains why.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, signed a Memorandum of Understanding today, July 21, to standardize the rating system for internet services in the country.
With the ratings, it will be an incentive now for the establishments to upgrade their capacity and their quality of service.
The Private Sector Advisory Council, or PSAC, which includes Globe, PLDT, Smart, Dito, and Converge, also present in the signing in creating the Connectivity Index Rating. The index rating is to empower consumers by providing them the necessary level of connectivity in airports, shopping malls, hotels, libraries, restaurants, coffee shops, and other indoor places.
We actually are able now to push all the establishments to improve their quality of service, especially on telecommunications and internet availability.
The MOU is aimed to address the existing gap on the quality of internet connectivity in various venues. Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for other global news, Malawi is facing a potential polio outbreak with 17 suspected cases under investigation. This comes just as a massive vaccination campaign has concluded. Monica Conlas tells us why.
Malawi is on alert as health authorities investigate 17 possible polio cases across the country. The recent outbreak is believed to be linked to Cyclone Freddy, a devastating storm that struck Malawi earlier this year, leading to loss of life and displacements may have contributed to the outbreak. Polio, a disease that poses a risk due to compromised sanitation facilities. Malawi had been actively vaccinating children against polio since last year, when the country recorded its first wild polio case in 3 decades. The country was part of the African region certified as free of indigenous wild polio in 2020. The Malawi Ministry of Health spokesperson Adrian Chikombe stated that they are monitoring cases of acute flaccid paralysis, or AFP, a syndrome that includes weakness or paralysis in children. Polio is one of the possible causes of AFP, but other factors might also be involved. Public health experts emphasize the importance of a prompt and thorough investigation into these cases to determine whether the affected children received the polio vaccine or not, which can provide insights into the source and spread of the outbreak. Malawi has recently completed a massive vaccination campaign targeting children between the ages of 9 months and 14 years, with the support of organizations like Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, WHO, UNICEF, and TIVAC. The campaign aimed to protect children from various diseases, including polio. The country has also taken a significant step in its routine vaccination program by introducing the typhoid conjugate vaccine. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Russian President Vladimir Putin backs out from attending a summit in South Africa in person due to the possibility of his arrest for war crimes. Jane Robles will give us the details.
The 2023 BRICS Summit is a conference which involves the head of state for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, where the summit is to be held in the coming months. As part of the International Criminal Court or ICC signatory, South Africa is responsible to have the President Putin arrested upon his arrival after the ICC lodged a warrant for his extensive war crimes. The presidential office has since then announced that after numerous discussions with the Kremlin, the Russian president would not be setting foot in South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa stated that it would be a declaration of war if South Africa had President Putin arrested, adding that engaging in war is not in line with their constitution. His words are in response to the Democratic Alliance, the opposition, which sued and demanded the government to arrest President Putin. Meanwhile, President Putin has not flown out of his country but will still be attending the summit through video call, according to the Kremlin. Jane Robles, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Parliament has been warned that international airlines could scale down flights to Australia to meet carbon emissions obligations. Maven Carissa tells us why.
International airlines this week warned the Parliament that flights to Australia could be cancelled or scaled down in the coming years to meet long-term obligations of helping to decarbonate the aviation industry. According to Australian Airports Association Chief Executive Officer James Goodwin, the federal government needs to prove that aviation is essential for Australia's connectivity, and there should be equal focus on reducing unnecessary short-haul flights that should have been serviced by other transportation modes instead, such as trains. Goodwin also added that sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, capability will be a key factor in making long-haul flights sustainable. This means modest amounts of SAF will be added to fuel mixes. Qantas, for example, has committed to 10% SAF by 2023. Australian governments and businesses have also announced recent plans to explore the conversion of byproducts from sugarcane and wheat starch, turning it into SAF. Other countries try it with cooking oils, palm oils, and animal fats. At the moment, there are no binding agreements affecting international airlines yet, but aviation industry expects these to be mandatory very soon. Maven Carissa, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kathy Navarro, live from Vietnam. Good evening.
And before we conclude our news today, we invite you to watch the UNTV Sauna 2023 special coverage on Monday, July 24 at 2 p.m. The event will also be live streamed on the official YouTube and Facebook page of UNTV. You can also listen to it on Radio La Verdad 1350. Let's all come together and witness Sauna 2023, the promise of unity for progress, the UNTV special coverage. Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God from the book of Psalms chapter 37 verse 37. It says, "Mark the perfect man and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace." And those are the reasons behind the news, July 21, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.